IMHO Talk Show. Well, I to the ism, H to the Izzo Talk Show.
Right.
It's Charles,
Max, and Razor.
And thank you, Max.
Looking out for you.
Charles.
Hey, thank y'all for joining us one more again. IMHO Talk Show on all your platforms. You know how we do. So we are, as we said right now, celebrating Black Music Month. Out of the many holidays and such that we have going on. And Max, this is a conversation I wanted to have with you today, but with this guest that we have in with us right now, well, she ain't no guest anymore. With the fam, that wouldn't you rather be fam than guest?
I'd rather be able to just come in and go in the fridge. You know what I'm saying? That's a better space to be in for sure.
Oh, for sure. I feel you. Is that we, talking about out of all the holidays and appreciation months and stuff like that, Max, dare I say that are constantly getting threatened and gotten rid of, at least on a federal representation level. It shouldn't stop us as a people from celebrating us, our culture, who we are, celebrating each other. So many things in June, and definitely not the least of these is Father's Day in June, but we got Juneteenth, which is, so important. And like I said, Black Music Month. So here to help us kick off this conversation is none other than somebody who I thought was my friend, but I've been watching Max. She's trying to take our jobs, Max. I don't know if y'all been seeing Taij. Taij is doing her thing out here in these streets with the microphone, the recording. Right. Shouts out to Doe Man, Blue Period Media. Shouts out to to VA Doe, Chris Newman, the whole camp, Rico Sweetlick, whole camp.
XL, we can't forget XL.
Okay. And but she been out here at the events and the festivals interviewing people and stuff. I had to do double takes. I was like, is that Miss Max? That's Taij. That's Taij interviewing people. I'm like, okay, Taij, all right, I see. No, but you've been enjoying that new endeavor.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, here's the thing, I learned from the best. Ain't that right, Max?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Flattery, Max.
From the best. Because we've been doing this stuff for a long time, coming in and being interviewed and things, but I absolutely love it. Right. Yeah. I absolutely love it. I love being able to pick people's brains. I love being able to give them an opportunity to share my platform with them, for them to share their platform with me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's what it's all about. So yeah, I love it, man.
So is this like another notch in the Lady Taij belt? Was this part of the career goals,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or the Doe Man was like, yo, you good behind the mic, stay behind that mic and do some interviews.
The way that it actually started. So I love podcasts. I absolutely love podcasting. Okay. And so I had always wanted to do a podcast, but I just hadn't put the pieces together. I was waiting for the right opportunity. I didn't want to do it just to do it. And so it's interesting because I was interviewed on the Chris Newman show. And after that, the whole time he kept saying you're really good at this. You're really good at this. And then that's when they invited me to get on the mic and join the pod. You know what I'm saying? And then that just gave me the fuel to just keep pushing and getting behind the mic and talking to people too. And I'd already been doing panels and conferences and talking at those things. And I like doing it. So anytime you give me a microphone, it's just my superpower. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm just ready to go.
For sure. So we are joined by none other than the MC extraordinary Lady Taij. So Taij, you like we said, you got a lot of work going on. You have a lot of projects that are out there. But let's start it right there. Yeah. What is the newest music on the street right now from Lady Taij that the folks need to know about?
Yeah, so I recently had released my album Daydreams. You know what I'm saying? So I put Daydreams out. I released that in April, actually the day before my birthday. I was performing at the R&B block party downtown, and I said it makes sense to go ahead and release this music. But it's so crazy, Charles, because we were talking I was here last August and I had just released The Awakening, and then since then I released another EP. You know what I'm saying? And then now the album. So it's kind of wild to think in that short amount of time, so much music that has been put out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, really excited.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And where can they find it at though? Let them know. Is it on all the streaming platforms? Do you have a preferred platform?
Yeah, Charles, I can't come up here and talk to you if my music isn't at all the streaming platforms. I feel like I gotta check that off before I even step in the building.
Hey, you'd be surprised by how many people that be coming incorrect.
Oh, okay, my bad. All right, no shade, no shade. Oh yeah, no, literally. Daydreams is fire.
But it's everywhere.
It's fire, and it's everywhere. Yeah,
Gotcha,
Apple Music, wherever you listen to music, just type in LADYTAIJ, and you can stream it, listen to it, whatever, rock with it there.
Mm-hmm. So now, so for those that don't know, and you can dig a little deeper into the origin stories, you know, kind of how we did years and years ago when we first had you on, you know, being that we are celebrating Black Music Month.
Yeah.
But for those that don't know, female MC from Virginia, right? Right now, female rappers are kind of running things, really. You know, I mean, like all over the place, more so than ever.
Yes.
And we're also in a time too to where the gatekeepers of the music industry don't have a stronghold like they used to, meaning that nowadays you don't have to have a straight up record deal to get exposure, right? There's so many ways of getting yourself seen and your music heard and all that kind of stuff. So tell us who Lady Taij is. Tell the folks who may be new to Taij, what is Taij style? Like when you listening to Taij music, what you gonna get? Yeah, is it different every time? Or you like, how would you define your craft?
It's pretty interesting because when I first started doing shows, I actually started out with an EDM DJ. And so I was kind of like bridging, like the EDM music, like with the hip hop vibe, which was really, really dope. So even being like versatile is something that's like very natural to me. Right. When I was doing shows in Stan, I was performing with like different genres, you know what I'm saying? And like other music. So I can rap over anything. But with that being said, when you hear,
do it now.
Listen, don't threaten me with a good time. Don't threaten me with a good time. But you can get anything. But for me, though, one thing that I really care a lot about, and it's just embedded in me, is lyricism. So when you're listening to my music, like I'm saying something always. I'm always saying something. There's going to be a message. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get dope cadences. You know what I'm saying? Like the beats variety is wild. And especially I've been working with Doman and Excel, which I love having two producers in the same space. They tagging in and out and we're all in there creating. So the beats are even being pushed into a different way, which is actually when I come back for my next project to talk to y'all about it, y'all gonna be like, oh, snap, Taij, you really going crazy on them now. You know what I'm saying? But those are the things you're going to expect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here to deliver a message, and it's just, it's not all cap and all the stuff that you hear, a lot of the other rappers doing. Like, I feel like I bring something a little bit different.
Got you. Now, have you figured out a formula? Because I see you dropping a lot of music, and so it's always interesting to me, like when we see the people who may constantly drop singles, or they're constantly on mixtapes, or whatever case. Like, but you're delivering projects, like. If I'm not mistaken, like you had multiple last year. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so do you have a formula, or like does your team like kind of look at when y'all should drop? So the formula is stop overthinking.
Okay.
Stop overthinking. That is the key. But for me though, like I make the music that I want to make. When I ride around, like some people be like, who's your favorite artist? Me. You know what I'm saying? Because I love what I create and I believe in it so much. And I think like that's really the key. So I'm constantly creating music. When we were talking last time, that was like one of the things I was like, all right, I took a pause to really focus on my craft and to just get better with the creation. I can sit down and turn a beat on and I can actually write a song, record that song in a matter of hours. Like that's just how I am. And so, yes, there's strategy with releasing it, but I also just do what I want when I want. And I want to put out music. I'm putting out music. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing is too, is like when people hear me, if you don't have anything out, then how they going, like, what's the point in talking about if you don't have anything out? So like, even now, as we're having this conversation, people can go back and listen to 3 projects. If you keep going a little bit further, I got so many singles from before, and you can actually watch and my growth as we continue on this journey,
So how you aspiring music artists, how do they know if something's good? Like, how do you know if it makes the checklist?
I think that you just got to be confident in yourself. Like the other thing is too, is like, there's different music for different people. You know what I'm saying? But I think you have to really be confident in yourself and what you're doing. Like if you think it's good, then you know where you're at. Like for me, like when I hear something and it's like, I feel like I'm vibrating on a different frequency. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel it. It's just a part of me. But I think you just put it out, and then sometimes you got to test stuff. Like for artists that are coming up, you know, go to a showcase, go to an open mic, and just perform and see how people respond to it. That's another thing that I was doing a little bit, was I was testing some of the music. I felt confident about it, but I started testing it a little bit before I started releasing some of the stuff.
Okay.
Cool. And now the ultimate though, right? Being from Virginia. All right. So artists already, you know, trying to figure out how to make Virginia like more of a hotbed, right? Trying to make it a spot and this has been going on forever. Like even back in my day, like when I was trying my hand at it, is like, what can we do to not have to move to New York, Atlanta, LA, whatnot, you know, all that kind of stuff. What do you think the game is missing? Like, what do you think we're missing here as like a hip hop community, even just a music community?
Working together.
Okay. That
is what it is. It was working together. A lot of times people's egos get in the way, and that's the problem. I think that like I think the biggest thing is to connect with the people in your city or in the other cities. That's even like, you know, that's around, like who's got motion in Richmond. Okay. Who's got motion in Virginia Beach? Who got motion? Right. And like coming together and connecting and networking and working together. Like I just performed at the Charged Up Festival, in Richmond, which was so dope and so fire. And when I interviewed, Noah O, and we were talking, it was so crazy because I was like, everything that he was doing, and everything that they have with that movement is the same thing that I was doing when I was connecting artists from Charlottesville to Harrisonburg. But, you know, he was, you know, and he's connecting artists from, you know, Virginia Beach to Richmond. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of folks, it was so crazy how many people from New York came to Richmond to perform, right? You know, you can perform in New York all the time. But I think the biggest thing is just like connecting with each other and having an understanding of how we can benefit each other. It's not just about me. It's about us, right? And it's about this whole music scene.
Yeah, that's what's up. We are talking to none other than Lady Taij, and her extensive catalog that she has out here. Let's dig it, Lady Taij. Like I know certain artists have certain projects, certain songs that's dear to them for certain reasons, just mean something to them. And don't give me that default answer. They all like my babies. You don't pick a favorite. Don't give me that.
That's funny.
But like your project or your or song that kind of that if people were to look up Lady Taij and be like, I only got 3 minutes, Taij, what am I looking up?
Oh, see, you're asking two different questions. That was interesting. That was a trick question. That's two different questions.
Okay, my bad. I learned from Razor. My bad.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what I will say. If you're like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I want to check out Lady Taij and I want to hear her lyricism and I want to hear what she got. I would say like, Dollars Up is like one of my favorite records off of Daydreams. If you're talking about Taij, what is the record that just means so much to you that has like that place in your heart? It's definitely Blue Skies off of Daydreams. And it was just it means so much because it's just like that was I had a friend that passed away and went to say my goodbyes, and it was the thoughts that like it was how I expressed myself to get through that. And so every time I hear that song and when I play it back and even with creating it, it just like gives me chills. You know what I'm saying? So like that's definitely my baby off of Daydreams for sure.
You ever do any rap battles like city to city or whatnot? I mean, I personally am a fan because it feels like a fight. So I'm just like, oh yeah.
You know, it's so funny. Okay, so when I first started rapping, I was battling the boys all the time. Okay. I love rap battles. Do I rap battle now? No. That's not really my bad. Now, if I had to, if somebody tested me, I'm prepared for all things. Like, don't test me. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I am not weak. Okay, this is what I do. I love music, but am I like the type to like go in and I think I think the thing about the rap battles that just kind of rubs me a little bit the wrong way is just there's so many gun bars a lot with the rap battles, and I think it just gets like it's OD for me. But yeah, I haven't had a but hey, listen, if anybody listen, we can go track for track. What's up? You know what I'm saying?
I guess it depends on the space you're in too, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this sounds like we may be calling out Remy right now, because when we did the Rugged Arts,
man, yes,
like that was all the MCing right there. Wasn't too much gun talk,
I actually had a conversation with Remy not that long ago after I did that block party. I called him and I said, Remy, it's time. It's time. And he answered and he's like, all right, little sis, like, you know, Remy's that person. If I call, he's going to answer.
Right.
And the things that Remy has been doing and has always done and that he's doing now has always been so beautiful and amazing. Yeah. So Remy, come on, man. You know what I'm saying?
You know, Remy and Chris were here, and like, you know, both of those dudes are integral, you know, within our development and development of the station. You know, great voices, and very, very charismatic figures.
Yes.
Like, so love to see the you know, like the talents grow and continue out there for sure.
Yes.
So this wouldn't be an interview on IMHO about music if I didn't bring up the ratchet music.
I knew you were going to do that.
How you feel about the ratchet music? You know, there's an artist, I think her name is Flippa T. Is that right?
I know you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a fan because I like listening to music. Because I like listening to music like that from time to time.
I didn't say
I'm just saying. Don't judge me. How you feel about that?
You know, I think the key is it's different music for different times. You know what I'm saying? And it's like whatever's appropriate. You know what I'm saying?
You practice that response.
No, I'm just saying it is like you got music that's for the club. There's music, you know what I'm saying? Well, if you go into the club and you having some drinks, do we want to sit here and like, I mean, it just depends. Different strokes for different folks, right? But it's just different music for different times. I actually, I love ratchet music so much. I would love to. So
you knew exactly what I was talking about. I've heard of her, I think.
I love ratchet music, and it's just not who I am. So I would be faking if I got on the track and started talking and all that talk. You know what I'm saying? But like, I love ratchet music, but it's a time and a place.
So Taij, and it's real talk.
Yeah.
What if the record exec said, Taij, we like everything about it, but we need this hit single.
Right.
We need you to talk about dropping and popping it.
Well, first of all, I'm never the one that's dropping and popping it. You know what I'm saying? Normally on the opposite side of that. But with that being said, but with that being said, what I would do is actually I would like create metaphors and like some like that's how what you get in my music anyway, right? Like people like street talk, people like all those things, but I apply that in my music, and it's like it's using the same lingo, but it's in a different way. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm saying I'm flipping bricks, I'm talking about selling houses. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm achieving the same thing and I'm speaking your language, but it's actually, if you really listen to it, we talking about something else. So that's exactly how I would get down. So I could do it. That's what I'm saying, Charles. I can do it, but you know, but then I'm gonna be in the video and I'm not gonna be the one twerking. Should I call you, Max?
Nah. Well, you know. What move raise a move might belong to me. But I'm glad you bring that up because the other side of that, right? Because you seem like a relatively conscious rapper who are responsible with the words that you put out there.
Yeah.
And obviously this ratchet music comes along with, you know, a certain perception, persona, lifestyle that is influencing a lot of people, especially our younger generation.
Yeah.
And in a not so good way.
Right.
And so that's the line there is like, when is it entertainment and when is it detrimental to the listeners?
Well, I think the other thing is a lot of people don't want to be open and honest about like the life they really live. Even I was watching, y'all know, Jadakiss and, Fat Joe, thank you. I was like, I kept thinking about the rap battle with the other Joey from the rap battle with Ray Vaughn. We gotta talk about that a little bit. But anyways, they were having a pod and they were talking. There was like, we live paycheck to paycheck, and everyone's like, what? Y'all live Jadakiss living paycheck to paycheck? Fat Joe's living paycheck to paycheck? Nobody tells the truth. You know what I'm saying? So I think just having that level of transparency. But another thing too, like you know, next month, like you know, in July and August, like I'm going to be doing some sessions over at the Music Resource Center. And so I think it's also just having that level of mentorship and being in a space like, you know, if I was young and I saw someone like me, that would change how I listen to music and what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm also going to be in that space too. So I think that makes a difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
I knew you couldn't.
Yeah.
Hold it back, Ray.
I was good long enough here. All right. We noticed that when rappers get a certain age, they just seem to do their hits. When it comes to rap music, do you feel like there's an age requirement?
No.
Okay.
I think that look at Redman. Redman just all of a sudden he just started putting out mad music, like freestyles and going crazy, and it's like
it's good.
Yeah, I remember MTV Cribs. Did y'all ever see the MTV Cribs with Redman and his house was falling apart? Yeah, like and I was little watching that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's an age requirement. I think it changes, like your fan base changes, right? So like even as you grow in the content that you're putting out, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be people in your age range that can resonate with the things that you're talking about. So I don't think that there is, now I don't see me rapping at 70, but I might, you know what I'm saying? I might be the old lady rapper.
You could. I mean, because it's all about content, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking more so along, Frankie Beverly and Maze perform for forever, right? But when it comes to our rappers, right? You hear about what they did when they was in their 20s.
Yeah.
You don't see them talking about stuff like, the closest I've seen to it is Jay-Z. 444. You know what I'm saying? He started talking about like business type stuff, right? But then it still didn't have the traction of Blueprint. So I just wonder, like, I don't know that I would want to hear DMX talking about him being a family man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess you get typecast, so to speak. So I was just wondering if you thought that there was a age requirement to
I don't think there's an age requirement, but I do think like there's a space where you're in your prime, right? So like I feel like what you're speaking of with Jay-Z is like that was kind of his prime. And when that happens, everybody's attracted to what's going on with the music scene. You got the college, you got everything. It's a kind of a broader audience in a sense. I love 444. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it means that you can't put music out or whatever the case may be. I just think that there's just an adjustment and you got to adjust your expectations.
Yeah. And it's beautiful too. Like I heard you say you would see yourself rapping at 70, but like, is this a craft that you could see yourself still honing, like as you got up in the years? Because fact of the matter is, hip hop celebrated that 50th anniversary.
Yes.
Right. And really, Razor, like we're just now at the age to where like we age that much to be that old to still see if we can do it. And like I love going to the old school concerts. And like and to your point, sometimes they're just doing their hits. But you do have the folks like LL Cool J, Jay-Z, Redman and whatnot. And I feel like that's what's gonna separate, even artists of today, like such as yourself, when you have content, right? Like to where it makes people actually think and the stuff that like even at least some of the content where people can sing along to, like whether it's with their family, different generations. To me, that's what helps it age.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, definitely. I mean, LL just put out an album not that long ago,
and it's dope.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's just like, it's a continuation. I think you can, but also too, I mean, like, again, the content changes. Like, for me, like even the rapping realtor, like I'm still, I'm rocking with that. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna start dropping some more, real estate raps. You know what I'm saying? Like people were attracted to that. You know what I'm saying? Like you need a CRIB, then call me. I could get you in a house. I can get you what you need. Like people like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, who's more fun to sell real estate and do that with than me? You want to do it with a realtor with their arms folded in the picture with the blazer, like that's boring. Or you want to come with me, this could be fun. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, also call me for all your real estate needs. But like with that being said, like, like the content can change and you can reach different people in different ways.
Yeah. And look, my man DJ Rush Hour is a realtor too in Northern Virginia.
Oh, that's right.
Y'all get together, he DJ it, you rhyme it. No, I'm talking about music though. I'm talking about music people. Wait, but yeah, you gonna need a round for the lending though. That's the financial guy. Yeah. But sure. Hey, but we are joined by Taij. You got a few more minutes?
Yeah, I got you.
So how about we go to break, Max, and then we can come back and we dig a little deeper, even a little beyond the music. When we were talking about that discussion about celebrating our culture, this music culture, and the threat that our culture is under. Yes, indeed. You've been listening to the sounds of none other than Lady Taij. First, she hit you with a little Blue Skies and then Black Success off of her most recent project, Daydreams. And shouts out on the success. As the projects grow, it looks like the appearances are growing and all that good stuff. So so you keep on rising. For sure.
Yes, sir.
So since we just played those, since you called out Blue Skies, and I think when I first heard the project, I think I sent you a text about some of your bars on Black Success. So
oh, you did,
it's one of my favorites. So
I love when you do that because then I know you really did listen.
Oh, I know. Hey, look, I got plenty of folks in the music industry, and like, so I know better because they'll check you.
Yeah,
like you ain't really listen to it. You front, But no, so Blue Skies, Black Success, those are sort of like the styles sort of juxtaposed. Like, so what were the inspiration of both? Because those sort of had two different vibes to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so with Black Success, I was just in a space where it's just like I'm growing. I'm really proud of all the things that I'm doing, and I also noticed that my growth was making other folks uncomfortable. And it was kind of interesting because at that time I was performing at a festival, and like there was somebody that was kind of like hating on the fact of like how like we have like a Juneteenth or we have these other things, and it's like, why is it only for Black people and da da da. So I was really aggy, and so I took that and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go write me a record. And because that's when you write your best records, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, no, like it makes you uncomfortable to see us be successful. It makes you uncomfortable. Like I know that I'm triggering you, right? You know what I'm saying? But you know what? Sometimes you need to be triggered. Like that's just what you need. And I'm not gonna, apologize for my success, and I'm not gonna apologize for my Blackness, and I'm not gonna apologize for celebrating that. So as I continue to grow to be a public figure, and these other amazing, individuals, Black individuals grow to be public figures, yeah, it makes you uncomfortable, but it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So beware when I step into the space. You know what I'm saying? So that was really the energy for Black Success. And then, Blue Skies, like I said, like, it was just like just thinking about what it's going to be like when you just lose somebody, and like, what does the future look like without this person? And like, how can I even like deal with that? Like, how can I even function with that? You know what I'm saying? So that's where the inspiration for that came from.
It's funny that you said it. Like, you triggered me just now. Last night, one of my sons came up to me and asked me, he said he was looking at a thing and he said, Dad, I'm gonna ask you something like personal. So what's up? He said, somebody said, you're never the same once your mom dies. Mm-hmm. And it was like, for the first time in like 2.5 years, maybe, no, 3.5, how long mom been out? Like 3 years, I actually had to deal with it through my child asking me how I actually felt. So he sat there and talked to me for 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it, I was giggling because I didn't know who's the child and who's the daddy. Yeah. But it was just, it was out the blue. Yeah. It was just, but it was exactly what I needed at that time. So, so I understand what you're talking about. Like when you were writing your song, how am I going to move forward? What am I going to do? What am I going to say? Yeah. Because I'm almost talking to them.
Yeah, exactly. So, exactly. And I think like for me, again, rest in peace, Fielding Biggs. But like the thing for me was just like, he was such a creator and like just a beautiful, and that's why I would say like you can see the beauty in the gray skies, but for me, it's going to take time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for answers in a clouded mind. Like I can't find the answers in this moment. I can't get to that space in this moment. You know what I'm saying? But like they say in time it heals all. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, indeed. So joined by Lady Taij. And Taij, you mentioned something quite pertinent because of the times that we're in right now. And you already alluded to your duplex career, right? The being the artist, being the realtor and whatnot. So we, and not to mention the great community work that you do as well. So, and shouts out to you for adding that mentoring piece too, helping out at the resource center. But when you lump all that together, right? We lump in being a businesswoman, being a rapper who wants to protect the art and the culture and all that. And we're living in a time right now to where, like on the social aspect of your career, you have a lot of threats right now trying to end services and whatnot, like to benefit our people in our community. Yeah. Right. Voices are at threat of being hushed. We hear talking about Black Music Month. Right. But we know that there's like executive orders to not celebrate for the federal government to no longer recognize anything diversity, equity, inclusion.
Oh my God.
Related.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
DEI related.
Yes.
Like, so you as a person, how are you balancing, all of those things first? Let me ask that, like, how are you gripping with that?
Because Charles, you know what? Okay. So we're going to have a real conversation. We're going to have a real conversation. This is a very real conversation. When these moments were happening in the beginning, I had a really, really tough time with it. I I'm a part of like, you know, a Black Wealth and Asset Building Collective, you know what I'm saying? I'm based out of DC. I'm a part of like all of these things. And it was like, we had to have conversations about changing the language. And I'm like, we're not taking Black out of nothing. Like I had such strong feelings, but I was also in a room with like other leaders in the space. Right. And like, that I'm not the only one Black. Most of us is Black. You know what I'm saying? It's not just my feelings. Like we all have strong feelings about this. And then, you know, but I'm also thinking like, these are like kind of like those key moments. And like, you know, I think about like when people, like when things like this has happened before and people are in those rooms and it's like, we got to be quiet about the work that we doing, but we still getting this work done, or we got to do this, or we got to strategize. And like when movements happen, there's all these different ways to advocate, right? Like people advocate in different ways. Like maybe I'm somebody that's in a room and I'm strategizing. I'm like, this is what I got. This is, you know, what you got. Or it might be somebody that's on the street protesting. Like we all have different ways to push the movement. So for me, I had to adjust my thought process around that and kind of detach from the words. And my energy is very much of I'm strategizing to still get the work done in this community, right? I don't care what you call it. Call it what you want. I don't care what you got going on, whatever. I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. I know what resources I got, and I'm going to do my very best with whatever those resources are, whether they're in my workspace, whether they're in my personal space, whether it's the relationships that I have. I'm going to do my best to still keep these things moving and going. And so with that adjustment and that energy, that's how I have been able to just like cope with it. You know what I'm saying? But at first I was like, I don't even want to do this no more. Right. You know, so you got to go through that first.
Yeah, of course.
And then you're like, Taij, you can't not do it. You're like, what are you talking about? You know, stop throwing a tantrum and figure this out. And so then you go back and be like, all right, we got to figure this out. You know?
Yeah. And an impact, because when we talked about the art, the music, see, like you talked about the words mattering, right? And you know, like the content and whatnot like that.
Yes.
So I'm sure you're dealing with sides of people who are like I don't really care, like it don't really matter, like what's going on policy wise, like or I don't vote anyway.
Oh my
like
gosh,
that, you know, that kind of stuff. So like, so when we talk about, because it also seems like that only Blackness is being attacked, if we're being 100 about it.
That's definitely what it,
right? Right. Or unfortunately, like there's some things with even people with disabilities, but people of color, like things that we recognize, like our culture, we're being told to hush that and assimilate to the standard. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Adjust to the standard.
Yeah.
So I'm tossing this out to you and the group. Like, really, how important is it? You know, like when we're sitting in the month of Juneteenth and just starting a couple years ago, like we really seem to get on board with that thing of being like, ooh, this is like sort of our official Independence Day, right?
Right.
Or even again, like we here celebrating you and Black music, but we're being told that to put that Black label on it somehow now is taboo.
Yeah, it's problematic.
You know, and we know it used to be taboo generations ago, but now we back to a point where I don't think a lot of Americans thought that we would be back to.
Yeah.
So when we talking about words, right? I almost thinking about it as like you writing a song and people telling you, well, you can't say that in your song. You gotta take that out, take that out.
Yeah.
Like how impactful you think are these times right now?
Well, I think it's a few different things, right? Like, one, I'm somebody I refuse to sacrifice the art. Like I will never sacrifice the art. Right. The art is the art. You know, that just is what it is. I think that, but when it comes to like these celebrations and what's happening, like, again, I think that it's so funny because when I lived in Atlanta and coming from Virginia and going to Atlanta is one of those few places where it's like majority Black. And so a lot of folks had a different mindset, and I used to say I had a militant mindset set when I was there, because I'm like, what, like, y'all don't, you know, I would get so riled up about things and so triggered because of what my experiences was growing up here in Virginia, you know what I'm saying? But I think like I'm the type of person where I'm just like, it's up, I don't care what's going on, I don't care about what the backlash is, like that's my initial mentality. But then I have to surround myself around other folks that are like, hold up. Let's really think this through. Like, this cannot just be emotional, like based on emotion. Like, let's really strategize. Like, let's really figure this out. And so I think it's just like having that balance. But I think, you know, the other thing that has, for me, just generationally, I would say, like, I haven't been in a space where it's like I had something and then it was taken away from me. So that it feels a little bit different for me. And then like when I'm talking to some of my elders, they're like, it's okay, we've been through times like this before. And that's where I have found comfort. So I really look to my elders to kind of help guide me through these moments and look for like that leadership, which helps me as I continue to grow, because I'll be an elder for somebody in some time, and we may be having, you never know, history repeats itself all the time in different forms, you know what I'm saying? And so being prepared for that. But yeah,
that's good stuff. I know y'all got something down there.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get it going here real quick.
I want somebody to tap in on that question.
This is my thing. I want to ask y'all a question, because it's kind of my mindset, even though it's going to be very emotional for all of y'all. I'm going to ask it like this. Is it possible that what President Trump is doing in the end could be good for Black people?
Okay. Yeah, we're cooking.
And the reason I'm saying this is because the majority of the time when we come together, it's based around trouble. And we're so scattered now because we feel that there's so many opportunities out there for us. You can do and be anything that you want to be. And what Trump is saying, and the people like him, is saying that, no, that's not true. And like Charles said, they're trying to get us to assimilate and follow what they want us to do. But if you look at the history of our people, when we are attacked, that's the only time that we come together, because we realize that education does not separate us. Our address does not separate us. We're looked at how we're looked at. So when Dylan Roof shot up the church, things changed. I think when George Floyd got choked, things changed. So I honestly think that while it's painful and it feels oppressive, that the things that Trump is doing will actually unify the ones that are willing to unify, and change will come from there, because we will carve out our own place. Now, I know that's not popular for a Black man to say. Can I jump on that real quick?
Absolutely. I know, I'm like, oh, Razor, we about to have I love
Who want to go first?
Go ahead, Charles.
All right. Well, thank y'all for yielding. But here's my thing, Razor. Like, that's the ultimate problem. Like, inherently, what you said, the question itself is the problem. The fact that we're questioning that. And what I mean by that is that what we're doing is we're entrusting our futures and even our current with the same people who defend the Dylan Roofs, who make millionaires out of white people who use the N-word and kill Black kids. We want the people who support that and defend that at all costs to somehow, now I'm going to trust you. And so, like, I think inherently that's the problem, is that we keep having these delusions of grandeur that we're going to be accepted by a system that never has and never will.
I don't know if Razor is saying so much of trusting people, other than just being hopeful that something positive can come out of this situation. The reason why I disagree, first of all, we as a people, have to have our own agency and be able to lift up and encourage and put our own selves on a pedestal without an individual or a group or an organization, and even the government, giving us permission or allowing us a space to even do so. So we first have to recognize that, because I feel like that changes the whole thing. But, the administration's effort to, cross out anything that ensures equity, inclusion, fairness, all those different things, to me, would only make sense if the Black people didn't have the experience that they did in this country. They are doing it as if those things didn't happen. That's the only reason why we got here. It's the only reason why these things now exist. So I think, taking into consideration that history is attached to this group of people, that there then needs to be space allowed for all these other things that he's trying to take away.
What I'll say is, to your question, Razor, and it's funny because you posing that question, I actually posted it on the pod and everybody got riled up. But it was more of, sometimes you have to burn something down to rebuild. And so it's like, my mentality, because the things that I love to see, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to say this. The things that I love to see is when I'm riding and I see the folks at Stonefield and they got their signs and I saw stuff and they upset. I said, oh, y'all upset now too. All right.
It's real.
All right. You know what I'm saying? And like, but it's like a lot of times it's like it's not just us. It's like other groups are starting to be affected. They're starting to feel it. A lot of times people make decisions and not realizing that in this situation they are actually being affected by their vote in the things that's happened. So I'm like, because, you know, I feel like there's always been conversations. Okay, so let's say the Black community and the brown community, the Hispanic, like, what if we all came together? Facts. What would that look like? Facts. What would that look like? You know what I'm saying? And I think like that's something that I would love to see. Like, I would love to see. And so again, I mean, I think that, and it's also, I think it's forcing people. It's forcing us to create our own things. And I think we have to get uncomfortable. Maybe we got a little too comfortable for a second. I don't know. I think we got to get really uncomfortable to grow in this way. But I look forward to seeing like what are some partnerships or what are some things that may come out of this.
Yeah, and Taij, I totally feel. I've said multiple times that it's almost like when we have like Republican majority, it does strip us away of some of our luxuries to an extent to where you have to grind. You don't have a choice but to grind.
Exactly.
Because you can't rely on some of the services that you may have had before. So I get that part. But on the flip side, though, when I think of it as why I vote and why I teach people that they should vote is for the greater good, the commonwealth, quote unquote, right? And it's like we shouldn't then use that as an excuse not to do our best or not to do better, right? But it's like there's some people who need these services. But then I feel like that it's up to us, you know, the community, the people to come together and always show people that, hey, like this, you know, like this, you know, this is just sort of a leg up, right? Like, you know, this is not where we're supposed to stay.
Exactly.
You know, like I would much rather be that than for us to be destitute of things that people need. And number one, I'd be like we got to stop getting bought.
Yeah.
Like, we keep falling for the okey-doke and we are just getting bought. And what's going to happen is we're going to make like I don't even think we're going to make money like people thinking they're getting tricked. But I think ultimately it's going to be another Dylan Roof. It's going to be another George Floyd. It's going to be Trayvon Martin. And every time we're going to come back to the same point. And my answer is going to be the same every time. When did we come together? When did we empower each other? When did we stand together outside of tragedies?
Well, can I give y'all one other way to look at this, right? When they started getting rid of all the DE&I, you know, and they started getting rid of all the things that we started hollering about because we told, but we realized that, like, Charles, what is the thing that you talked about your dad did when he was younger?
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action, right? We realized that the person that benefited the most was middle-aged white women, right? I don't see where with all the changes, our people really lost anything. What I do see is other people losing stuff. So ultimately, they're coming down. It's almost like COVID. It's putting everybody on an even playing field. And because we're not losing anything, we stand a chance of being leaders because we already know how to operate at this level. So when everybody else falls apart, they have no choice but to follow who knows the most information in the situation. Now, where we mess up at is we teach other people how to operate, then they take off and leave us by the wayside. So if we learn anything from the past, it's to keep your hands on the wheel, you know? So I honestly like the direction things are going because an even playing field is all I ask for. Maybe it's because of my background.
I don't think it's ever been even.
Well, look at it like this. I think it's going to get to the have and have nots as opposed to the black and brown and the yellow and the, you know what I'm saying? I think color is going to have little to do with it. In the end, it has to do with who has and who doesn't have.
I understand the nuances of it as well. My biggest thing is through it all, the common thread is we're too comfortable with white supremacy. Inherently, if like to strip away color, especially what they're doing, and to say this is the standard, like white, essentially whiteness, like the white male, the things you even name, it doesn't. And Dave Chappelle said this, and I couldn't agree more. It won't. Nothing changes in this country until it affects white men.
Right. No, I agree with you, but
so my whole point is that like we're so comfortable with that status quo to where we feel like we're safer in it. And that's dangerous.
That's like telling the deer not to walk around the jungle because the tigers are there. They're not going anywhere, right? So if we know white supremacy is here, we know who controls white supremacy, Does that mean that we avoid going into the safety and the shelter of the jungle where you can get your nutrition, you can get your shade, you can get your water? No, that's what I believe the people that look like us use as a fear tactic. Don't go in there because the jungle, because the lions in there. The lions are always going to be there. You know what I'm saying? When it's time for them to eat, they're going to eat. They're going to feed, right? But when they're not, you go in there and you get what you need. But if I have somebody that looks like me that's telling me, no, just stay away from the jungle, stay out here in the heat, I keep you weak. I keep your mind weak. And I think that some of our biggest adversaries look like us. Like we like to blame Democrats, which I do, but at times, but a lot of the problem comes from the people that looks like us. It's it's like the tree asking the axe to be his friend, even though both of them are made of wood at some point. So that's just, I think that things are not falling apart. I think they're falling in place.
Oh, we are resilient though, baby. You can believe that. We make it through every struggle, but I'm tired, boss. I'm tired, boss. Exactly. Why I got to keep being resilient? But Taij, we do got to wrap up. We got next hour and guests waiting for us. But you go ahead and thank you for joining us. By the way, number one, and I knew you wouldn't be one that would shy away from this conversation.
I wish I had all day to go back and forth with y'all for real.
That doesn't mean you got to come back.
Oh yeah,
you got to come back. Sure. Yeah. I know you think you the big show host now. you don't need us no more. But
lies.
Hey, invite us. I've been telling Chris and Bill where's our invite?
Now you're talking to the right person. We're gonna make sure let's make it happen.
But Taij, as we roll out, go ahead and kick it to Black Brilliance, one of my favorite Lady Taij tracks.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, definitely. Black Brilliance is, we talk about being resilient.
Exactly.
You so good at this, Charles. Oh my goodness. But I just want to say Daydreams is out right now. I got a bunch of shows going on. I got a bunch of interviews. I got everything. Just tap in LADYTAIJ. But this right here is Black Brilliance. It don't matter what's going on in the world. We always gonna bounce back always. It's Lady Taij, in my humble opinion.